timing, rhythm, and beats. It doesn't really matter what art you practice. These are all universal concepts that tie in together. In the particular system we do, we pretty much follow range in terms of 3 different ways of fighting. We have long range, middle range, and short range. All these different ranges could be used in any art, no matter what art you're in. One of the things we use in order to determine our range in the Filipino martial arts are angled movements. To show an example of this, we give you over here different patterns that we use in our training for footwork training. In this particular case, from my point of view, this would be our close quarter pattern or reverse triangle. In this particular motion here, this would be the mid-range, and our forward triangle over here would be for long range. Once again, it's all about where I am in relation to my footwork. If I'm coming toward you, I would come in at an angle. That would be to me close range. If I were to step to the side, from my point of view, that would be middle range. And this evasion motion right here, when we step backwards, is going to be my long range pattern. In other systems of Filipino martial arts, range is defined to what my complementary hand, a live hand, assisting hand, it's basically the limb that does not carry a weapon is able to touch. For example, when he delivers a strike, if I can strike the offending limb but cannot touch it, this would be considered long range. In the same token, if I can strike the offending limb and tap the hand, this would be middle range. Once again, from this point, long range, if I'm able to hit and check the hand, that would be middle range. And if I can touch the body, this would be considered close range. Range, once again, also is defined according to the length of the weapon that you're using. For example, in this particular motion, when RJ delivers a bladed attack, quickly from this small portion of my attack here, this would be to me close range. If I were to attack the limb, that would be middle range. If I were to go on a long range jab, that would be long range. So once again, it's where my blade or weapon is in reference to me. Meaning, sometimes in my stance, I might be here in this quarter, just on a half beat here. This would be close range. This would be a middle range position, and this would be a long range position. Once again, just watching the way you carry the blade and how you position the blade in terms of how you're going to be chambered is important. If I carry the blade in this particular stance, my safety factor from the tip of my blade to here is that if anything comes inside my close range here, it's going to be cut. If I'm on middle range, anything from the tip of my blade to in here, once he penetrates that, is going to be cut. If I start in this range from long range fighting, my safety factor is this much. So anything within my range is also taken into consideration that if it's in my stance in here, it's going to be cut and destroyed. Ranging is not just a matter of footwork, it's a matter of knowing me, myself, my weapons, where I am in relation to my weapon, where I am in relation to my opponent, where I am in relation to spatial parts of the environment. Okay, now we're going to try to demonstrate to you how ranging can also be according to the type of weapon you're using and how the extension of the weapon works. In this particular case, we're using weapon to weapon here. Close range in terms of weaponry is when he delivers to me, the closest target to me is close range. I'll use the butt of the weapon. That would be close range. If I went mid-range, half the length of the weapon. If I went long range, full extension for long range fighting. Once again, it could be anywhere according to how close the weapon is to me. Mid-range, long range. That's how I would classify different ranges. It's important to know because having a good perception of distance is very important in weapons fighting. Because if you don't have this, a lot of times when Chris swings right here, I know that Chris will not reach me. So hence, when he attacks me, I don't necessarily have to move far away, knowing that I can't hit him. But if I understand that his extension now becomes middle range for me in my attack, I know I can attack his limb. I know I cannot hit his body, but I can hit the limb that's attacking me in a different range. But conversely, in using footwork, I know when he attacks, I can reach the body with a slight motion and make my impact. So that is why ranging is important, because you have a very good perception of how far your opponent is, how far you are in terms of being safe for myself, that when he strikes, he's not going to reach me, but when he strikes, I can reach his offending limb. But if I need to extend a little bit, I can also make impact. And the different types of footwork that we do in training in this shows in a dynamic fashion how I'm going to use different motions. Chris will start feeding. I'm using long range, hitting the limb. Long range fighting. Half an extension for middle range. And using footwork for close quarter attacks, close quarter attacks. Long range, middle range, close range, and close range. In this dynamic fashion. Working my ranging and knowing where he is, whereas when he strikes, I know I'm out of range. But at the same time, when he strikes, I can hit the limb, and I can also know my ranging by taking a step, be able to hit his center mass.